like a very interesting project and one I would totally expect you to be working on. So please welcome to the stage Brian Deery.
All right, thank you everyone for showing up. This project is a little less ambitious than some of these other ones. This one I consider more as like a low-level project to help Bitcoin keep its fees down. That was a complaint that I heard earlier. A way to not fill up the Bitcoin blockchain with things that don't really need to have it. You can get the same security using Notary Chains as you can with Bitcoin. So, thanks Dan and Farouk for speaking here today. Notary Chains is organized by Paul Snell. He also had a big hand in the Bitcoin conference in Austin, Texas. And he also did a Passing Bitcoin Around the World project. A little bit about me. I'm a NC State local guy here. I had a project in school where I competed against a Google car driving around. We did pretty well for a team that wasn't funded. We got paid t-shirts. And Ethan is working on some of the code as well. He's down in Texas. Manuel is a software developer, and he made the website proofofexistence.com. This website kind of does what we're trying to do, but more scalable. And then Stephen Sprague also runs a company doing trusted computing stuff. Really interesting. So Notary Chains is a system that's running on top of Bitcoin, or trying to move data off the blockchain. And we're concentrating on two things right now. The first one is business documents, media, something that you want to prove that it exists to someone in the future, cryptographically. And we also have another goal, is to move some of the Mastercoin transactions offline. So every Mastercoin transaction is a Bitcoin transaction, and 7 transactions per second currently. That's not scalable. So I'll get to that a little later. So in the business documents side, just proves that the document exists. Fairly straightforward. So if you have a business process, say ongoing negotiations, and so every time that you update a contract or something like that, you can timestamp it, basically. And so none of this is public. It just makes it so that if there's any dispute later on, people typically lie about the past. They don't lie about the present. So timestamping things in the present is fairly straightforward. This is possible without changes to Bitcoin. Uses some of the features brought in earlier, and it's going to be open source software. No one likes closed source in this industry. So David Johnson of the Mastercoin board, he's excited about this project being able to increase transaction volume on the Mastercoin network. So right now, if you want to store data in the blockchain, you have to basically do it yourself. And in the future, Notary Chains is going to be able to collect a whole bunch of data together, and then timestamp it collectively. So this is their website as it stands. So basically what you do is you take a file, you drag it onto the website, it calculates a hash, you give the guy a couple bucks in Bitcoin, so there's one Bitcoin transaction, and then he puts it in the blockchain, and you can see down there in red where it shows the hash of the document that you timestamped right there on blockchain.info. So there's two transactions that get made every time you want to make a timestamp document. We can do better than that. So Bitcoin is a finite resource. I mean, even if we increase some of the arbitrary limits, it's still a whole lot of data. And on top of that, every time you store something in the blockchain, it's going to live on this world until the heat death of the universe. The Bitcoin blockchain is going to stay around, and people are going to store it, and we don't really need to know financial or business records or that a photo was taken 300 years ago. And so centralization is a dirty word in this industry. But if you can opt out, then it's not so bad. Nick Szabo's paper on property clubs, that was one of the main features, was the people who were in the property club that wanted to follow the main rules that they agreed on could fork and move to another property club. So the corollary to this is, if everyone starts storing stuff in Bitcoin, then we're going to start edging towards centralization, which you cannot opt out of. So if you want to use Bitcoin, now it's going to be a centralized service, and that's something that we're trying to avoid. And then we get a tragedy of the commons. Okay, so pretty straightforward. First, a business is going to have a document of some sort. They take a hash of the document. It doesn't have to be a document, it could be a picture. So every time that you take a picture, your camera will upload to the blockchain. And so there's cryptographic proof of a picture between when you took it and when you publish it later. So no Photoshop has happened since then and now. Or the same with security camera footage. So video editing is getting easier and easier nowadays. And if you document your stream of video, that there's not going to be any room for accusation of evidence tampering in the future. So take the hash of that, send that hash to a Notary Chains server. It takes all these from all different people. Then what it does is it combines them together, creates a notary block. This is basically just a big file, hashes that file, then it distributes this file on a distributed hash table similar to BitTorrent. So it'll publish the file, and then all the users can download it and save it and propagate it, and at which point the Notary Chain server is out of control. They can't get rid of it. And then the hash of that, the way to find that block is put into the Bitcoin blockchain. And so the blockchain timestamps it, and it advertises it as well. So if you're following a certain notary server, you just watch their Bitcoin address, and every time that they publish a new blockchain, then you download it on BitTorrent. And then Mastercoin as well. So, like we're saying, every Mastercoin transaction is a Bitcoin transaction. A few weeks ago, the Let's Talk Bitcoin show, Adam Levine, he was complaining that it was $30 to fund all his listeners on his network. Granted, he's using Counterparty, but same principle applies. It's a whole lot of transactions, all on the blockchain, all going to different people. And there are multiple solutions for fixing that, all with pros and cons. This one has the benefit of being secured by the Bitcoin blockchain. And so it'd be as difficult to break this as it would be to break Bitcoin. So with Mastercoin, there's not really a need for the Bitcoin value to measure that flow. Mostly what Mastercoin needs is it needs discoverability. So when I send money, that someone else is able to see that, yes, that money got sent. Timestamping. So if one transaction comes before another, that needs to be disputed, and an agreement on how to make that change. So the idea is to take the Mastercoin value, assign it to a server, and then the value can exchange on that server, and you can do very fast transactions, once a second or faster. And then that gets solidified at the same rate that that Mastercoin currently gets solidified in the Bitcoin blockchain. However, there's more fine-grained control in there. So this idea is not really original. This is one of the main reasons why the op return command was put in. I disagree. I'm just. The op return was put in to stop people from abusing. There's a fair amount of politics, as this news story kind of shows. But what this project will do is make it so that it replaces a whole lot of what the Bitcoin developers would call abuse, and then it narrows it down to a very small amount. So millions of customers could be using this service, and it would have minimal impact on the Bitcoin blockchain. So this what I've just described is not really clever, but what we're doing is we're setting up a system of auditing. So these servers have the same technical abilities as the Bitcoin miners. They can exclude you, they can reorder the transactions, and they can delay transactions. Now, the servers will be able to give you back a receipt, and that receipt will show the data that you expect to be timestamped. And then from there, you can pass that on to one of the competitors of that service, and they'll be able to do auditing for you, since they're all on the same network. So one of the drawbacks of this system is that if you want to prove that your document existed, you need both the document that you had and the notary block, so that you can see there's a link between the Bitcoin blockchain, the notary block, to the document. And so in the future, it's basically BitTorrent. So as long as there's one person who's sharing it, then it'll exist. However, if the customer really needs that data, they can hold on to that and save that themselves alongside their document. So yeah, you have a federation of servers. They're all competing for market share. They're all publishing data in this manner, so the servers are going to try to avoid screwing their customers by doing the limited amount of text that they have. They'll have reputational damage, as well as potentially giving up a bond that they've posted, because there'll be evidence that they didn't do what they said they were going to do. Planning on having an internal token for denial of service attack, as well as to pay for the bandwidth to use the service. Bitcoin, as we were talking about in the earlier presentation, it's not really set up for microtransactions. So just kind of an internal token to make it so that it's not free to use or abuse the system. And it's also used in the auditing process for something goes wrong. In the future, BitTorrent style network may or may not be good enough, but other stuff is coming along. So we've got MadeSafe and storage, which are very easily could be better storage solutions. And this doesn't really have to operate on Bitcoin. It could operate on Dogecoin or any other system, but Bitcoin really has a lot of security right now, and that's kind of what we're going after. Any questions?
All right, thank you. Any questions for Notary Chains project, or Ryan?
Do you have anything that verifies economically that what you have is sound? I mean, won't go flying off in some direction.
How do you mean?
Well, let's say agent, you did some agent-based simulation, and you showed that 10,000 agents doing this thing would, I mean, it's still stable or whatever.
Oh, we haven't really gotten that far.
Is that something that you'd be interested in doing?
Could be, yeah.
Any other questions? He seems a little bit busy, so I'll hand the mic off. No, I was filling in for you, maybe.
We got a little conversation. Logistics. Any other questions? Notary Chains. Brian's perfect project. All right, well, thank you very much. Next up is a marketplace for goods, services, and charitable donations. And I've said